Hey guys, Duane here, back with another video. Today is going to be a viewer question that I want to hit, and it's a really good question. And it says, my son has been very disrespectful and resentful towards me lately and saying things that indicate someone is in his ear. I've made huge sacrifices and fought long and hard to get 50-50 custody of my child, but always wind up looking like the bad guy. I'm getting tired of this cycle and have been very tempted to expose their mother to the kids. My narc is working overtime to try to turn the kids against me in an attempt to have them choose living full-time with her. I just know it. Any advice would be much appreciated. Thanks. Okay, so that's a really good question. And this is something that I went through and felt when I was going through my situation. I was convinced that my ex was trying to manipulate the kids to choose her. And I think it actually was happening. But there's an interesting reality on this, is that as long as you can build your relationship with your kids, their ability to turn them is, it's much harder for them to do. Now, the main question on that is, well, how do you do that? Especially whenever you have your kids lashing out on you. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're lashing out on you because of the other person doing stuff. More than likely, that's the case. So, I mean, I'll just throw that out there. But the thing is that your kids are going to be really nervous and stressed and anxious about this thing anyways. So they're going to be dealing with those range of emotions as well. Now, whenever our ex is in fact planting seeds of doubt in our kids' heads, it makes it a lot more complicated, because then they start blaming you and they start lashing out, and that's really tough. And I know exactly what this person is talking about, because I felt the same way. I was, like I said before, I was convinced that she was doing everything in her power to try to get the kids to say, I want to just live with mommy instead of daddy, you know. And it makes it really tough, because like what this person's saying, I felt the same thing. You know, you fought so damn hard to get to this point. You just want this crap to stop, and it doesn't ever seem to stop. But here's the trick on this. What you have to do is you focus on having the best relationship you possibly can with your kids. Now, in the early stages of this is really difficult, because they do lash out at you. The key on that is to basically take the sucker punches and not react. And I know it's incredibly difficult. And what you want to do, and this is what I had to do, and sometimes I did well and sometimes I didn't, you let them say what they need to say. If they're having a problem with you, you can sit down with them and say, hey buddy, you know, let's talk about this. What's really going on? You can tell me what you're feeling. I know that this is incredibly difficult and stressful. Buddy, I get that. It's stressful for me too. I'm basically kind of role playing like if I was talking to my kid. Let them say whatever. You know, if they say, you know, there can be a laundry list of things, but if they say, well, you broke up the marriage, you know, you broke up the family, I just want things to go back the way they went, right? And you just kind of say, you know, I mean, I'm sorry, you know, we can't really do that. We have to make the best of the situation. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to attack your kid, or you don't want to go, well, your mother this or your father that. You don't want to do that. You want to give them an opportunity to be heard. Let them feel safe to be able to talk to you about what they're going through. It may be difficult for them to do that, so that may not be something that's going to happen on the first time. It might take a few iterations before they start to open up. But as you keep basically establishing that you're there for them, that you will listen to them, that you love them, that you're not going to judge them, they start to open up. The mistake I made in all of this is I did lash out in the beginning, and there were times where I was so freaking scared about what's going on. Now, this was primarily before we finally got to 50-50, because I knew that there was a game being played. But even after 50-50, and even after we had a court order, in the back of my mind, I felt, and I knew, because I heard from other people, that it was happening, that the ex was like, well, you know, guys, or it's primarily to my son, well, you know, buddy, you know, if you could choose where you want to live, you know, you could stay here, you know, I mean, there was a subtle manipulation going on. The thing is, as long as you're not feeding into it to where your environment is always stressful, then you have a much better chance. This rolls into the good cop, bad cop thing that I've talked to in the past. We have to play both roles. You cannot, absolutely not, be the authoritarian, it's my way or the highway, this is the way it's going to be, because you will drive your kids away. You have to find a way to have structure and to still have a good time with them, to have that balance. Normally in a marriage, you have one person playing the bad cop, one person playing the good cop, and it works, right? We can't do that. If you do that, if everything is, clean your room up, do your homework, brush your teeth, everything is constantly where you're basically ragging on or holding your kids accountable, you will drive them to the other parent, because I guarantee you the other parent is not holding them accountable, is not being a real parent, is making it happy fun time and making it really complicated. So you have to find that balance. That's why whenever I would ground the kids, and I know I'm getting a little off topic, but I think this might pertain. If the kids got in trouble, I had to find something that we could still do. It's like, oh, you're grounded and you can't play your video games, but we can still watch movies together, right? So we could still sit on the couch and have that time to do that, or something. It was like, there is something that you can still do with them. I know it's weird because you want to say, okay, you're in punishment, solitary confinement. And that won't help you. That's not a good place to be. And it's really tough because this is counterintuitive to the way more than likely you want to parent. So to get back to this person's question, you don't necessarily want to go directly with what's going on with what the ex is doing. If it's really bad and you really feel like you need to, there was some detail missing in this comment. So if the kids are saying, I want to live with mommy, not with you. If they're saying that and they're really playing that, obviously you have more work to do. If you just know that they're lashing out at you and you're thinking about it in the back of your mind, which is kind of the situation I had, that's what was going on with me, don't overplay it. I overplayed it and it really made things a lot worse. Fortunately, I was still able to deal with it, but you just don't want to do it to yourself. The main thing is make darn sure, in this particular situation, the person has 50-50, make sure that you can have quality time with your kid. I don't care what the hell it is. They want to spend time with you. If that's going for a walk around the block with each kid individually or as a family or whatever, you want to do something to where you're giving them your attention. That pays off in spades. I know in this situation you didn't really say how old the kids are. So, obviously different kids want to do different things, but find something that you can do with them that's special with them, that you can build that bond. And that is really the key. And if it continues on and it's, if the kid's really lashing out at you, then, therapy is a really good option to help them deal with that. Sometimes that's good because most of the time a therapist isn't going to say, well, you should live with one parent over the other, unless there's something really significant. And it gives you a bit of a buffer in a lot of this. But the main key is just find a way to connect with your kid. What I used to do whenever the kids would lash out on me, this primarily was on transition days. I would let it go for that day. The next day when things were calm, when everyone was happy, and I would say, hey buddy, if it was my son, but whatever, whatever child it was, it's like, hey, let's talk about what happened the other day. I know you were really upset and you were lashing out. So, where was that coming from? We're doing good now today. So, what, you want to talk about it? Let's, because it kind of made me feel bad. You see what I'm saying? And you do it to where it's not in the moment. Because what you don't want to do is get in a situation where you just start yelling at each other. I used to do that with my son. He would say something annoying. I would lash back. It would turn into this just mess. And then it turned into a longer mess. And it's just, don't take the bait, right? Remember, your ex is also sending your little youngins over to be little weapons of mass destruction, right? Don't fall for the trap. It's a freaking trap. They have weaponized more than likely your kids to play these stupid games. You remaining calm and working on building the best darn relationship you can with your kids does a tremendous amount to knock that out. So I hope that answers the question. I hope it covers that. If someone else has had some experience with this on what worked in your particular situation, put it in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, please consider subscribing, and I'll chat with you on the next video. Take care. Bye. Okay, I don't know if this is gonna work, but I wanna just show, if I can, this this jerry rig setup that I made to do this. So I put my camera on a tripod and I wanted to use my boom mic. So I literally duct taped, or not duct tape, but I literally put the boom arm and tied it up with the scarf to try to make it work. Hopefully it works. At least it didn't topple over. We'll have to see. All right, thanks. Bye.